watching the replay, make sure you swipe and share and follow my channel. Hey everybody, welcome. I told you it's a little bit later than 7, but that's okay. I'm still trying to figure out how to use my phone because my iPad's still not working. Hey Danielle. Hey guys. I don't like this vantage point. Hey April. I have to be like way back here for me to feel comfortable without my boobs showing. If I spin it like this, I don't either. I always keep it certified. Oh, vertical. Certified. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I just, you know, it's this whole thing. I got big boobies going on and I don't need all of that showing, but I don't have a lot of choice because my iPad, there, that's whatever. It's just me. Hi, Dilly. Hi. Look at all the people. Sandra's here. Yeah, we'll cover it with comments. All right, good. Morning, babe. From Australia. Megan's couch. Hi, Megan's couch. Yay. Thank you for all the hearts. Oh, you know what? I didn't. Hello from Indiana. Indiana has an accent, a southern accent. So thanks for the hearts, guys. Ooh, purple and greens. Those are Edie's favorite colors. What are we talking about today? We are on the treadmill. I don't even know what day it is. I think this is day 9. Hello from Ontario, Canada. Megan's S couch. My middle initial is S. Gotcha. Gotcha. Thank you for inviting followers. I appreciate that. Right? Thumbs up for day 8 or 9, whatever it is. Probably should tell you, but I'm eating pie while you're walking. That is not even something you're supposed to say. Thank you for inviting the followers, Dina. And Gail joined, and Spoiled Girls invited some followers. We're doing good. Okay, so here's the deal. I kind of like to get into it from right from the beginning so that we can get people on and we get people to stay, right? Because it's important that we give them the info right away. And in the title. Periscope. You need to title it what you're going to talk about. Figured I'd start rebounding when I watch Chatmill. What? Figured I'd start rebounding when I watch Chatmill. What does that mean? Rebounding for what? Yes, titles. Thanks, Julie. Okay, I'm trying to follow the comments. Mini trampoline. You are confusing me. We have squirrels happening and I don't want squirrels. I'm so confused. Okay, so we're going to talk about our why, but there's a couple different things that I want to make sure you guys know. And I'm learning stuff like this from Jilly Sue. So if you're not following her, you need to follow her. And people like Dana Garrison, and there's a bunch of people out there that are pros at Periscope. Hi! Oh, I did not know that. Yo! Okay, bye, honey. I don't think Ben had any clue that I'm periscoping and that I do this every day because he's never here usually. Okay, so make sure that you put in your title what you're actually going to talk about in the scope, because you want to entice people to come, right? And you want to have them stay. Dana Garrison is awesome. Love her. So the title is extremely important. Tread scope. That's why I call it the Chatmill. Treadmill. Chatmill. Get it? Tread scope. That's a good one too, though. So what do I call it when I get my bike on Wednesday? By the way, guys, if you've been following, my bike was supposed to be here on Monday, and now it's going to be here on Wednesday, which, whatever. Pedal scope, right? Alright, so make sure you have a good title. And at the very beginning, which I'm not very good at this, but I'm going to get better and better all the time, is the first 3 seconds or so of your scope you should be talking, like, not being like, hello everybody, hello, hi. I do that all the time. It should be getting right into what you're talking about once people are there so that they'll stay. Hi, Scott. Is it Scott? Hold on, I gotta go look. Scott's in. Hi, Ian. Ian's on my team. Hi, buddy. All right, so we're gonna talk about our why. Chrissy's on here. Chrissy's on my team as well, which I love seeing people on my team. How awesome is that? We're gonna talk about our why. Because, yes, and April's on my team too. There's a bunch of you on tonight, that's right. Woo woo! Team Positive Sense represents while we're on the Chatmill. So, our why, no matter what business you're in, no matter if it's direct sales, no matter if it's a job at corporate, it doesn't matter. Whatever your why is what's going to push you to actually doing what you're doing, okay? So people say, well, what motivates you to get out of bed? More than likely, what motivates you to get out of bed in the morning is a piece of your why. If you haven't, you need to go find a video that I did on YouTube called Your Why Will Make You Cry. It's a poem that I had written, and I don't know why I didn't do it like face to face, but I read it. With music, I don't know, it was a very strange edited video for me. But it talks about how your why actually has the ability to make you cry if you go deep enough. And something that I learned with Stephen Covey in sales training, I think in 1993, Lone Star State Sense is in the house. I learned that finding out what your why was equivalent to something we learned called peeling back the onion. Peeling back the onion was also a sales term for figuring out the pain that drives people to buy a certain thing. Let me explain. So, peeling back the onion as a salesperson to a customer was asking enough questions, or the right questions, to find out why they needed to purchase what they were looking at purchasing. Okay? Leakity. Whoops. I got something on my phone. I went to go press a button. I hope I didn't block you. Is it Lise? Lise. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Mommy and mummy of a pooch. Is that what that said? Yes. So, when you are, okay, so let's take an example. We're at Sears, and a customer comes in and they want to buy a nice, Sandra, she's yours. They want to buy a TV, okay? So the typical salesperson is going to go up to that person and say, how can I help you? You're buying a TV, well, do you know what you want for a TV? And most of the time the customer has an idea because they've done a little bit of research, right? They may know the size they need, give or take. Thank you, Danielle, for inviting followers. They may have an idea of maybe what size they want the TV, maybe a brand. Maybe they heard of a brand through some of their research. But a good salesperson, someone who's going to peel back the onion, is going to say some things like, hi, Nikki. Not that. But they're going to say things like, how big of a room is this TV going to go into? How many people are going to be watching this TV? Do you need to be able to get on the internet? Is that something that's important for you and your family? You know, what type of movies? Do you watch movies or do you watch shows? You're jumping. Okay, that's all right. Keep jumping. So they're going to dig a little. They're going to peel back those onion peels until they get to the core. And they're going to keep asking questions until they figured out what type of TV, what size, different components that the TV may need to have, You know, does it need to be really good in 3D because these people like to watch movies? Does it need to be large or wider because of the size of the living room that it's going into? Is there a lot of people that are going to be watching it, so it needs to be larger but set back further? So, you know, there's going to be a lot of questions that a good salesperson is going to ask to peel the onion back to find out what type of TV this person needs to have, okay? So that is a way that as salespeople, we are salespeople. Yes, we are sharing the experience of Scentsy with people or whatever it is that you're selling. But we still have to connect enough with our customers and connect enough with our potential recruits to peel back the onion and find out why they even want to join your company. And that's a very important thing that I think a lot of recruiters or a lot of people that are sponsoring people miss, because they start, and I use this term all the time, they start vomiting information and it overwhelms the person that's listening, and so therefore they shut off. You might get answers like, well, I'll have to get back to you, I'm not really sure, I don't think I can do this, I don't think I can do what you do. You know, so those types of answers are from someone who haven't quite figured out why they want to join your company. And it's important for us to do that, to find that out and to ask them, because ultimately what ends up happening, and a lot of us it's later that this happens, but if we can help our potential recruits or potential people that we sponsor right up front, then we've given them a leg up. Because when we determine their why and the reason, Eva Sense More, I love it. Welcome. If we can determine before they even join why they even want to join in the first place, you are going to have them set up a much faster growth in their business. They're going to have a bigger drive, a bigger passion, and that is extremely important. You know, so you get people, and I'm going to use Scentsy as an example. You know, you get people, why do you want to join? Oh, I love candles. Okay, there's a lot of people that love candles, but they're not joining Scentsy. Hi, Sandra. So you need to find out why it's important for them to love candles. Why does loving candles make a difference in your life? Oh, well, because scent, you know, or the ambiance or scent takes me to a different place depending on what it is that I'm smelling. And then you can say, well, why is it important to go to that place when you're smelling something? And so by asking or peeling back that onion, okay, and asking why to the why, to the point where they get to a point where you can see the light bulb go off, or thank you for sharing, or the switch in their face, or their emotional change or shift that happens on their face when they're talking about something, you're going to know that you hit the core of the onion, okay? And so in Stephen Covey world, they called it the pain. And it's because ultimately, when you go past, thank you, Chrissy, for sharing, when you go past certain peels, certain layers, you're going to get to the point where it's either going to be painful to talk about it, or ultimately you get to a point where people fear being alone or not being loved. And so if you shave or peel back those layers far enough, you're going to get to understand that these people are joining for a much deeper reason. And if they can connect with it, it won't matter to you. You might be able to help them along the way if you're knowing their why. But ultimately, if they can connect with that, and they can feel why it's so important for them to join, then they're going to push even harder. And they're going to want to get up in the morning and do this. And they're going to want, same with working out. Okay, I'm going to bring it right to where we are right now, right? You have to have a why to motivate you for whatever it is that you do in your life. Because if you don't have a why to motivate you, you're going to slack off, you're going to put it on hold, you're going to pass it off to somebody else, and it becomes just something that you're doing, okay? So, talking about working out, talking about quitting smoking. I quit smoking because I had a huge scare, okay? So, when someone says, well, what was your reasoning behind quitting smoking? Well, because I almost died, or I thought I had almost died, or that I was potentially close to having a stroke. I was brought to the emergency room by ambulance. I was scared. I was petrified, not just scared. And a week after the episode happened, when I was having a discussion with my doctor, I asked her, I said, if this ever happens again, what do I do? Do I stay home and take medicine that you're giving me, or do I come back to the ER thinking that it's potentially a stroke? Well, luckily I hadn't had a stroke, okay? But her response was, if you're still smoking, then get your ass in the ER. And so at that point, there was enough motivation there for me to say, okay, my core to this onion is that I don't want to leave this world too early to not enjoy my grandson and my children, and to not enjoy the fact that I just married my best friend. Those are very emotional whys for me, right? So that was a very strong core pain. Thank you for sharing, Kathy, to motivate me to quit smoking. So phase 2 for quitting smoking for me is this working thing, this treadmill thing. Because I know that, hi Mickey, I know that if there isn't a strong enough motive to push you where you want to be or where you need to be, whether you want to be there or not, you're doing awesome, thank you. Hey. Then you got to dig deeper. If you're not motivated enough, you know, I think about Ben. Ben is a smoker, and I keep wondering why he hasn't quit yet. You know, he saw what I went through. He was scared. But it wasn't pain enough for him in his onion, the layers of onions, to motivate him enough to quit. So when he finds and when he's able to dig deep enough, then that's when he's going to quit. Okay? So the same reason for me quitting, that I want to be here long enough to enjoy my grandson and to enjoy my kids and to enjoy the fact that I just married my best friend. I don't want to be gone and incapable of doing things before I even have an opportunity to enjoy that stuff. That's very emotional for me. You know, and the fact that if I sit my butt down all day long behind the computer and when I go to get up it hurts, there's an issue there. I don't want to be sitting on the floor with my grandson and not be able to get up and him say, come on Nana, let's go, and be like, I can't because I can't move. Right? You know, so our why has to be deep. It can't just be, see, and I think this is where the people get confused. I think people get confused when you ask them what their why is. They give you the goals to get to their why. So they give you a bunch of different things that will make them happier along the path to ultimately getting to your why. Does that make sense? So a lot of people are like, well, my why is because I really want to be a superstar director. Well, ultimately, why do you want to be a superstar director? That's just a goal to get to your why, right? So why do you want to be a superstar director? Well, I want to make more money. Well, why do you want to make more money? Well, because I want to be able to provide for my family enough so that my husband doesn't have to work so hard. Well, why is that important? Why does your husband not have to work? Well, because I grew up in a family that my mother was the wage earner, my father was disabled and stayed home. It's what I know, right? So there's a lot of different things, not personal, not deep. If you don't go deep enough, it will not be personal enough to motivate you forward. So that may make some people uncomfortable, and that's okay. My purpose is to ignite that thought process, to say, ask why on your why. Why do you want to be a superstar director? Well, because I want to make more money. Why do you want to make more money? Well, because I want to supply for the family. Why do you need to supply for the family? Do you see what I'm saying? Keep asking why until you ultimately get to the point where you say, because it's, and you get emotional about it, because it's what I know. It's because I know that if I'm not supplying for my family, that I could potentially be by myself. And if I can't do it by myself, then nobody's going to be here to do it for me, and then I'm going to be all by myself. So you get down to the fear of being alone and the fear of not being loved. Ultimately, that's where it goes. If you have kids, your why is going to delve into your children. If you don't have kids, your why is actually going to delve into you as a child. So it comes down to a childhood of some sort, whether it's your kids or yourself. Okay? Why is your life's purpose your passion, maybe? Why is your life's purpose your passion, maybe? I don't know if I understand what you're saying. Can you give it to me in different words so I can understand it better? I think you're making a point, and I probably agree with you, but I just want to make sure I understand. So no monkeys today. I didn't put Chinese in your why is your life's purpose. Yes. Ultimately, yes. And so when you can figure out, no, because you know what? It can be your purpose. Yes. It can be your purpose. Because, but ultimately, okay, your life's purpose, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share something with you. And so this is where we're going to go a little deeper. My life's purpose is to help as many people as I possibly can before I die. Whether that's through motivating them, picking up their self-esteem, inspiring them to do better, or to inspire them to help others and to carry on that. That's my purpose in life. But that's not ultimately my why, right? That's just a goal of mine to fulfill that purpose to get to my why. Because ultimately my why is because I didn't feel like I was enough growing up. And so I need to make sure that everybody else in this world feels like they're enough. That's my why. Right. That's a goal. It's a goal to get to your why. And you need those goals to get to your why. Right? Exactly. Whew! How much time have we spent? Awesome. We are at 22 minutes. I have to look because sometimes I get so carried away that I'm on here for like 45 minutes and don't even realize it. So I hope that makes sense though, as far as first and foremost, you need to determine what your why is. You need to determine what goals you need to fulfill to get to your why. Because once you've figured out yours, you can then help others figure out theirs. Okay? And I think that your best interest is to ask these types of things, and you don't have to get this deep, but just get their ticker thinking, right? Ask these types of things when you're recruiting somebody. Why do you even want to join Sensi in the first place? You know, why do you want to join my company in the first place? What do you think it's going to do for you? Right? Thank you, Chrissy. Right? So when you've asked them that, now they're starting to think, well, I don't know, because I like candles. Right? I need the extra money. Why do you do when you feel like you've lost your why? What do you do when you keep asking why? Okay? So sometimes we accomplish our whys to the point where it shifts. And it may not necessarily be that we've accomplished it, but our focus has changed, and this happens a lot as we get older. Okay? So I guess my question to you is, why do you think you've lost your why? Hey, Amanda. You know, why do you think that, and I guess you don't have to be answering, no passion or direction. Right, and the no passion or direction comes from not digging deep enough. Okay? Why do you think that you're doing your job right now? Why do you think, and understand that if you're in a place or doing something that you don't think is bringing or creating goals to your why, then you might be in the wrong place. You know, if you're working a corporate job and you hate getting up to it every day, then it's not necessarily fulfilling your why. But if you get up to that corporate job and say, well, the reason that I'm doing this job is to get money or to further my education, right? Right? You know, you may be able to change your outlook on your corporate job. You may be able to understand why you're getting up every morning to go do it. If you can dig deep enough and figure out why you're getting up every morning. You know, maybe that's where you start. Why do I get up every morning? You know, is it so that I can fulfill a need that I personally have to be significant in this world? Is it to fill a need to know that I am actually appreciated for what I do? Is it a need to know that I'm enough? You know, those are the types of questions that you have to ask yourself. And be honest, and then question yourself why. You know, why is it important for me to feel like I'm enough? Well, because all my life, growing up, I was told that I wasn't. Or I never felt like I was. Then I got married and told that I was not. So, you know, those are the types of things that you've got to come clean with in your mind and in your heart. So, and forgive. If there's a reason, if there's something that you need to forgive, then you need to forgive yourself and allow yourself to move on. Why the unhappy face? Hi, Abigail. Why the unhappy face? You know, I think that if you have the ability to, get up each morning, I can relate to what you just said. Okay, so when we have a feeling, you're going to make me cry again, I know. When you have a feeling that you're not enough, the best place to go is to your inner child. Because, and I know you've probably heard this and thought it was kind of wacky, but when you think about it, if you start looking or thinking about your 5-year-old self or your 4-year-old self or your 3-year-old self, and think of that child standing in front of you and how you would talk to that child or how you would approach that child with love, right? You're not going to go to that child with hatred or judgment. You're going to go to that child with love. And so, right, you have to love your inner child, because ultimately, if you can't love your inner child, then you're not loving yourself. And the easiest place to start with loving yourself is to connect with that inner child, because it's hard for us to hate kids, right? It's hard for us to hate them. We might not like being around them, but it's hard for us to hate them, right? So connect with that little girl or that little boy and say, you know what, I do love you and you're going to be a great person. And you know what, believe it or not, you're going to be enough in this world. And people are going to love you and they're going to look up to you. They're going to seek you out because you have knowledge to share and you have love to share. You know? So that's the type of conversation that you need to have. And then you can say, okay, you know, this is why you're waking up in the morning. This is why you're bringing yourself forth in this world so that you have the ability to share that knowledge and share that love that that 4-year-old child has. Right? Does that make sense? Does that help at all? And learn to forgive yourself. You know, it's important that we, as adults, forgive our decisions and forgive our thoughts that we've had throughout life. Because if we can't forgive ourselves, we're never going to be able to forgive somebody else. And then we get stuck in this quandary. And be kind to yourself. And that's a whole other Chatmill to explain to you why I feel so adamant about forgiving yourself and others to move on. Because if you don't, you get stuck in this space where the onion is starting to solidify on the outside of that core. You're welcome, Dina. I hope it does. And you know what, honey? Reach out to me if ever you want to just talk. because I would be more than happy to do that with you. Because sometimes it can get very personal. What if you don't know how to forgive? You know what, Nicole? Forgiveness comes from our heart. Forgiveness is not something that we can just turn off and on. So if you can get to a place where you can say, you know what, I'm really sorry for having thought this person was retarded and stupid and just not able to function as a human being. Start by forgiving yourself, because then what happens is you start to go through this empathy of, I feel sorry for them. And if you can get to the point of feeling sorry for that person, you're going to get to the point of forgiveness, because you know that ultimately there's nothing that you can do to change them. And so therefore forgiving them allows you to move on. So I don't think there's a knowledge of how to forgive. I think it's a feeling of, if you can't forgive yourself, you will never grow. It eats you alive. Yes, it does. It does. So that's why I'm saying start with, if you've ever heard of Ho'oponopono, you need to go look it up. Ho'oponopono is something that I learned through Joe Vitale. I've been doing a year's worth of classes with him. And yes, it is hard to do. But if you tell yourself it's hard to do, it will continue to be hard to do. If you say, you know what, it's easy to forgive people. I have the heart enough to forgive people that have been totally hateful and harming to me. Yeah, so did I. So did I. I had a wonderful ex who hurt me a lot. And in order for me to grow as a person, I needed to forgive him. And the way that I started with that was empathy. You know, and I was at a place where with him, I said, you know, I feel sorry for him, because I don't think he will ever really know what true love is. He's struggled all of his life. He's married not just me, but others. Great, with love. Move on with love. And so I started with empathy of, I'm really sorry for him. You know, I couldn't give him what he thought he needed. And so he's never going to be able to find what he needs. And he will never love that inner child of his. But I can. And so for that, I forgive him. I forgive him for not loving his inner child. I forgive him for everything that he's done to me. And the more you say it, there are levels of emotion. Boy, we're getting into all kinds of stuff tonight, huh? There are levels of emotion that start with hatred. You do too, though, Nicole. You do too. You have a very big heart. You just need to tap into it. We all have a very big heart. That's how God made us, right? We have big hearts to share. Yeah. You have a very big heart, and you have the ability to be empathetic of them. And to say, I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you, because you will never know love like I know love. You will never appreciate people the way that I appreciate people. You will never appreciate what I do more than I do. Right? So that's how you have the ability to go from hatred, time to make dinner. Night, bye, Chrissy. You go from hatred to hope. I think you go from hatred to kind of being numb, to hope, and then belief. And so when you're in the hope stage, there is so much ability for growth there that the only way you can move is to believe. You know, I went a long time being told that I was worth nothing. I was a piece of shit. I would never accomplish anything. No one would ever want to be with me besides him. And so I started off with disbelief. I didn't believe him. And I kept telling him that. I don't believe you. You're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. But I still loved him. And so then after 4 or 5 years of hearing the same thing, I went to doubt. I went to that doubt phase of, am I a piece of shit? Am I not capable of having a relationship with someone other than him? And so then you hear it for another 5 years, and you start to believe it. And now you know that you're a piece of shit, and that no one will love you, and that no one will move the world for you. And then you get to a point where you go back to that doubt and you're like, okay, but I struggle with this because I don't believe that. But it has to be true because he's telling me. Right? So you go through these emotional scales of doubt and disbelief and anger and hope. And so that's where I got to, is I got to a stage where I was like, okay, if what he's saying is true, do I have the ability to change it? And that's when the light bulb went off. That's when the light bulb went off, and I thought, okay, well, the only way to change that is to have the things that he's telling me stop. And the way to have the things that he's telling me stop is to not hear them from him anymore. And so then I went into the phase of hope, saying, okay, no, I know I was a better person at one point. I know people loved me. I know people looked up to me. And then you go to belief, and that's when you shove them out the door. Which isn't exactly what happened, but close enough. I really hope, guys, that, you know, I speak through experience and I speak through my heart. And, you know, like I said yesterday on Chatmill yesterday, I said, before I speak to anybody, before I have a stage appearance, or before I get on the phone and do a training, I always ask, and I'll say, Lord, please speak to me, speak through me in a way that will help and reach others and give them value to move on in their life with. That changes a little bit here and there, but ultimately that's what I do. So I'm not always right, and I'm not a fixer-upper, but I will speak through my own experience. Yeah, right. And you know what? Therapy's okay, because we don't always have the answer to see inside of ourselves. Sometimes we need a little push from the outside to say, hey, look, you are an amazing person. You have so much to give. Your heart is as large can be. You just need to tap into that and say, you know what? I forgive myself for allowing him or her to hurt me. I forgive myself for letting them stomp on me, for letting them make me feel less than. I'm sorry, and I forgive myself for all of those things. And so with that, I can now forgive others, because as long as I forgive myself, it doesn't matter what others do. Does that make sense? I hope so. So I have been on now, see, I told you, 37 minutes, and I usually only do 30. We are all amazing. Yes, we are. Right. Right. You guys reach out to me on Facebook, YouTube, wherever. I'm here on Periscope. Can you do messaging on Periscope? I don't think you can. Just, you know, if you ever want to just chat, I will help. Love you, Edie. I love you too, April. I just, you know, love you. I just want to be helpful and bring you to that hope stage, right? So that's why your why, going back now, is so important. Your why is so important to connect with, because it's what's going to drive you out of bed in the morning. It's going to push you to do what you need to do every day. Oh, thank you, Nikki. Thank you. Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad that it's helping you guys, because that's ultimately what matters. And sometimes I don't know what to talk about on the Chatmill, because, you know, it's all about standing in front of you, sweating my arse off, and seeing how red I get. And I'm really not going that fast, but I think it's because I'm talking so much too. Right? And thank you for all the beautiful hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So why don't you go ahead and explode the screen with hearts, and we'll end the call today with a lot of love and a lot of drive and passion to better ourselves, to forgive ourselves, that we can find our whys and we can use that knowledge to push us forward into anything that we want to do. All right, guys, have an amazing night. I'll see you all tomorrow on the Chatmill.